So yeah, let's talk about this one because the saga keeps getting worse and worse and worse of Alexander Isak. He released a statement in his Instagram story. Let's read it. He said, "I'm proud to be recognised by my fellow professionals with a place in the PFA Premier League Team of the Season for 24-25. First and foremost, I want to thank my teammates and everyone at Newcastle United who's supported me along the way. I'm not at the ceremony tonight with everything going on as it didn't feel right to be there. I've kept quiet for a long time while others have spoken. That silence has allowed people to push their own version of events, even though they know it doesn't reflect what was really said and agreed behind the closed doors. The reality is that promises were made, and the club has known my position for a long time. To now act as if these issues are only emerging is misleading. When promises are broken and trust is lost, the relationship can't continue. This is the key here. That's where things are for me right now, and why change is in the best interests of everyone, not just myself, Alexander Isak. And Newcastle responds to that in a statement. They've released a statement as well. Let me get it first. So they basically said that they don't want to sell him. They said that, I think. So yeah. So they said we are disappointed to have been alerted to a social media post released by Alexander Isak this evening. We are clear that Alex remains under contract, so that no commitment has ever been made by a club official that Alexander Isak can leave Newcastle United this summer. And they say we want to keep our best players, blah blah blah. As explained to Isaac and to his camp, we must take into consideration of the club, etc. etc. And also, they also say we've been clear that the conditions of a sale this summer has not been transpired. We do not foresee these conditions being met. This is a proud club. Alex remains part of our family and will be welcomed back when he's ready to join his teammates. I tell you what, he's not going to be welcome back because Newcastle fans are not going to have this, right? I mean, there's no way back for Alexander Isak at Newcastle. Forget this, PR statement from Newcastle. Forget this because he's not coming. Even if he comes back, he's going to get absolute abuse and from Newcastle fans, home and away, every single game. Even if he scores a hat trick, he's going to get abused and death threats. Believe me, because these and he's gonna get criticism from Newcastle fans because this Newcastle fans don't like this. They don't like this at all, and I can understand why. But okay, now let me go to the Alexander Isak statement because this saga keeps getting worse. It's getting boring, honestly. I'm honestly fed up. He said that the promises were made. The promises were made, and that the club has known my position for a long time. And he also said the promises are broken and trust is lost. The relationship can continue. When he's saying the promises were made and the promises are broken and trust is lost, what's he talking about? What's he saying? Promises are broken. Is he saying that what were those promises? Did they say to the club, like, let's say a week last summer that if a club wants him to leave, if a club comes for me for let's say 100 million, 120 million, I'm going to leave. If a big club comes for me, I'm going to leave. Was that the promise he made to Newcastle last summer? And did they say to him he will leave when a big club comes for me next summer or now? And Newcastle said yes, but now Newcastle lied to him. Does it mean that Newcastle lied to him? When that they're gonna let him go? And also people saying that maybe it's also due to the contract because he wanted a new contract last summer and Newcastle didn't give him. I'm sorry, but he has 3 years left in his contract, so I don't really believe much in that contract thing. I think it's more got to do with that maybe he asked for he told Newcastle that if a big club comes for me, I'm going to leave, and Newcastle agreed, but a bid has come in for now, and Liverpool are trying to sign him, and Newcastle has said no. So this is probably where it comes from. Otherwise, people say contract, but he has 3 years left in his contract. And people keep saying that because let's be honest, people keep saying that I've heard people in the past there's loyalty. Listen, in football there's no loyalty. Alexander Isak is not the first player to do that. Gyökeres did the same thing with Sporting. He fallen out with them. Didn't turn up with training. Didn't turn up for the preseason. Tried to force it for a move. And probably told he also did the same thing to Isak, telling Sporting Lisbon last summer, if a big club comes to me, I'm going to leave. And then Sporting tried to dilly dally and deny and delay the move, and so that led to Gyökeres, not turning up to training, not turning up to preseason for Sporting, and the move happened in the end, even though it was a kind of in a stressful way. This is a similar situation. Alexander Isak is doing this. He's doing this. He's trying to make his statement work, because let's look. There's 11, 12 days to go for the transfer window. The 11, 12 days to go, and Alexander Isak is thinking like, this is my last chance to make a statement and and burn the house down, basically, right? Because that's what Alexander Isak is trying to do, and like surely Newcastle have to leave him. I know they say in the statement, oh, they don't want to let him go, etc. But surely after this statement, they have to let him go. Surely, like after this statement, surely the guy doesn't want to stay at the club. He wants to leave. Why Newcastle are keeping an unhappy player? And yes, they want to find a replacement. But let's be honest, they've had this so many times. They've had this transfer talk of Isak going to Liverpool has been going on for a month now, or 2 months. Newcastle have had this so many time, so many period to try and sign, sign and find a new replacement for Alexander Isak. And listen, it's not Newcastle's fault that Isak is behaving badly and is not turning to training, and he's even left his house at Newcastle. He left his house at Newcastle. He left. But it's also not Isak's fault that Newcastle have had 10 players rejected. It's not also Newcastle's fault that Newcastle should have signed Benjamin Sesko, but they were dilly-dallying when United were trying to sign Buemo. It took them a long time, and Arsenal were trying to sign Gyökeres, and it was a perfect opportunity for Newcastle to sign Sesko. But they were dilly-dallying, and United signed them at the end. It's not Isak's fault that Newcastle have had 10 players rejected. It's not Isak's fault that Newcastle have had so many people to try and find a replacement for him, and they couldn't for now. Yes, they've signed Mike Thoe and Jacob Ramsey, but I'm talking about the striking point. And they're trying to sign Wisa, who's also doing a similar thing as well, and nobody gives a damn about it. He doesn't turn up to training. He's forcing a move to Newcastle. He doesn't want to stay at Brentford. He's doing a similar thing, and Brentford don't want to let him go. Because let's be honest, there's no loyalty in football. And these clubs, like, I don't understand why Brentford and Newcastle are trying to keep those players, Wisa and Isak. Those guys don't want to be, they don't want to stay at the club. They don't want to stay at the club. Let them go. You want to keep an unhappy player? You want to keep a guy who doesn't want to stay at the club? So, I think the blame is for both sides. The blame for Newcastle for having this so many time to try to find a replacement for Isak, and they couldn't get it for now. They couldn't have done it for now, and that's what led to this statement. And also, let's not forget, Isak. Listen, the way Isak has behaved is not correct. I'm not trying to defend Isak, okay? I'm not trying to defend him because the way he's behaved, leaving his house, not going to training, not to preseason, etc. Yeah, that's not great behavior. That's not great behavior. But what I would say, and he's also going on strike, etc. But what I would say is that if Newcastle promised him, if those promises that Alexander Isak was talking about, if Newcastle made a promise and then they didn't deliver those promises, I'm sorry. The fault is Newcastle. The way Newcastle have been behaving, I have to say, is quite not good as well. Not only Isak. Also, Newcastle, the way they've been behaving is not great. Because they should have had found a replacement, and they've had 10 players rejected. It's not Isak's fault for that. So, like, Newcastle have themselves to blame for putting themselves in this position with Isak, and putting stress and trouble and etc. Because Newcastle don't need this. They have a big season ahead, they had a good season last season, they want to build up on that, and they don't need this. They put themselves in this situation. They put themselves in this situation, not getting their own business done. And Isak, like I said, it's his fault as well. Because It's on. I feel sorry for Newcastle at the same time. I feel sorry for both sides, but both sides are also at fault. I feel sorry for Newcastle because you see the fans. The fans are not happy. Of course, they're not going to be happy when player doesn't turn up for the club, etc. And how well Isak has done for them, scoring the final, winning them the Carabao Cup, getting Champions League football a couple of times. I understand, and people will call Newcastle fans will comparing him to Alan Shearer, etc. So I can understand why. I can stand the frustration, not turning to the club, and fans pay a lot of money to watch games, to come to games, and to support Newcastle. So I understand Newcastle fans' frustrations, but I also understand Isaac's frustrations because Newcastle have made promises, as he said, and they haven't delivered that. And also they've had this so many time to try to replace him, and they couldn't. So the blame is for both sides. The blame is for both sides, in my opinion. Who's it more on to? I think it's difficult, but I think the blame is more on Newcastle because they've had this so many times to try to replace Isak and they couldn't get it. And if a player wants to leave, let him go. Like, why can't Isak? Why didn't Newcastle let Isak go a month ago and try to get that money and try to sign on other players and try to find a place for him, just like Liverpool did. Liverpool, they let Coutinho go and they used that money to sign Van Dijk and Alisson. Why don't Newcastle do that? They should have let like Isak like let him a month ago. It's too late now. If you're gonna let him go, okay, but now it's too late. You should have done it like a month ago. So yeah, and now I mean I've been searching for a couple of weeks that Isaac should go to Liverpool now, etc. But now I'm starting to doubt. As a football fan, I'm starting to doubt because Newcastle don't want to let him go. Newcastle are so stubborn. like like Isaac should go to Liverpool, but the problem is Newcastle are so stubborn. They're so stubborn, and maybe it's because like Liverpool, you know, Newcastle are asking for a 150 million fee for Isaac, and Newcastle and Liverpool have paid for 120 million. And people say, oh, Liverpool should pay 150 million for Isaac. It's Liverpool's fault for not paying 150 million. Yeah, but listen, Liverpool are not gonna spend 150 million. Alex Isak is a quality player. Don't get me wrong, he's a quality player. But I wouldn't spend 150 million for him. Come on, 150 million. Like, come on, that's too much. He's a quality player, Isaac. Don't get me wrong, but 150 million, really? So, I don't blame Liverpool for that. I don't blame Liverpool for that. But the blame should be on Newcastle and Alexander Isak himself for putting themselves in this situation. But the blame is more on Newcastle because they didn't find a replacement. They promised they would sell Isak. They promised if the big club comes in for him. Listen, Newcastle is a big club, but let's be honest, Liverpool are a much bigger club than Newcastle. Much, much bigger. And a better team. You know, we have a bigger chance of winning titles and big trophies at Liverpool than Newcastle. So, the blame is on both sides, but more on Newcastle's side. Because you didn't deliver you didn't deliver the promises, and you should have replaced him. You should have replaced him. You have this so many time. So, and yeah, and by the way, the next game, the Monday game coming up is Newcastle against Liverpool on Monday, and that atmosphere, the atmosphere in that game on Monday, that will be spicy, incredibly spicy. The atmosphere is going to be incredible. It's going to get really, really tough, and with everything that's gone on, it's going to get really, really spicy. So yeah, let's see what happens. Let's see, but yeah, it's this saga is incredible. It's absolutely incredible. It's getting boring, but it's absolutely incredible. Honestly, oh my god. Listen. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've never seen a saga like this before. Yeah, there's been crazy sagas of transfers in the past from players, but I've never seen a saga like this in the past. It's getting too insane now. Like honestly, but yeah, but yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you. I wish you have a nice day. See you next time, and have a nice day. Bye.